The lone gunman took 2 hours to target his victims in an attack that police said was racially motivated. Firing from the front seat of his car, he shot 6 people as he drove through the streets. All of them were black and thought to be asylum seekers. Nigerian immigrant Aziki Gideon said he was shot without warning.
I hear first gunshot, but I thought that maybe it's a rocket, you know. So that one couldn't hit me, I couldn't feel anything. But the other one, I hear the other gunshot. Immediately I hear the sound, but I hear it on my right leg here, you know. So that is how I fall down.
The head surgeon at Marchetta Hospital said they'd all been very lucky. A 28-year-old Italian named as Luca Trani was arrested by military police. Draped in an Italian flag he reportedly wore during the shootings. He was escorted to prison early on Sunday morning. Trani had no previous criminal record. Overnight, Italian police sealed off his apartment and later released video of the inside of his home. It showed a copy of Adolf Hitler's Mein Kampf and other right-wing flags and symbols. Trani stood as a far-right candidate for the Northern League in recent local elections, but was said to have received no votes in the count. The Italian Prime Minister was quick to condemn the shootings.
Comportamenti criminali non possono avere alcuna motivazione.
Criminal behavior cannot have ideological motivation. Criminals are criminals. The state will be particularly severe against whoever thinks of nourishing the spiral of violence. Let's stop this. Let's stop this right now.
With the arrival of more than 600,000 migrants over the past 4 years, the events of the last few days come amid a heated election campaign in Italy where anti-foreigner sentiment has become a key theme. Peter Sharp, Al Jazeera.
The children of peaceful ethno-nationalism strike again. What we have in front of us is another alt-right mass shooter with the same pedigree, the same ethos, derived from the same source material. How many innocent people would have been saved on that day if that individual had not had a chance to be radicalized by the Reich Bible, Mein Kampf? All book burnings. I would dare to say that burning a pile of Mein Kampfs is actually a sign of a pretty healthy society. If somebody went door to door, seizing copies of Mein Kampf and then burning them in public, I would dare say that it would be good for the mental health of the general public. Because what Mein Kampf is, and you know, by extension, the movements that grow out of it, like the alt-right, no matter how much horse shit they tell you about, you know, they try to clinicalize white supremacy. They try to politicize it. But you know, the Nazi movement, the movement that today tries to rehabilitate Hitler, the movement that denies and dismisses the incontrovertible facts of the Holocaust, is a purely terroristic movement, and it's just kind of a question of how long they're going to wait to get into violence, right? Because this is small scale. This is him doing his part for the cause, and then sort of the parameters of debate will be, oh well, he should have. You know, don't accept this false frame. You know, this guy was running for political office so that he could do this from behind the safety of the power of the state. So, you know, he went and because he lost. He didn't get enough votes as a politician. He decided to do what he intended to do as a politician on a small scale. So if he won political office, he went with the intention of shooting immigrants, shooting migrants, shooting asylum seekers, And you know, he would have been able to do it on on an even bigger scale. But there is no peaceful white nationalism. There is only patient white nationalism. There is a white nationalism that is willing to wait to start their ethnic cleansing, and then there is a more impetuous reactionary wing of that movement that wants revolution now. You know what I mean? As I listen to these conversations, as I listen to the thought leaders in the community, people like Richard Spencer, Millennial Woes, Andrew Anglin, as he's been doing guest spots on Christopher Cantwell's Radical Agenda program. The thought leaders basically are saying to the plebs, look, we're going to kill these people. We're going to terrorize them, torture them. But you gotta wait, right? Because for some reason to fascists, the formality of state, because they're cowards, right? Like the formality, they need the supremacy of state power. They need to know that they have a monopoly on violence, usually before they start to engage in this kind of behavior. And what happens is their movement attracts weirdos like this, who can't wait to get their gun off. And again, he tried. If you look, he tried to go the patient route and wait to get his gun off, but you know, he couldn't gather popular support for the ideas of Adolf Hitler. And what's funny is that Adolf Hitler couldn't really, you know, if you look at the way that Adolf Hitler got into power, Adolf Hitler also couldn't really gain popular support. You know, Adolf Hitler was by and large installed, you know, perpetrated upon the German people. You got the same scenario playing out here, where this dude wanted to bring to power ideas that the average person, not being a fucking psychopath, is not going to, you know, ideas and attitudes that the average person at this point in time, no matter how xenophobic perhaps a plurality of the Italian public may be, no matter how queasy they may be about the prospect of asylum seekers coming into the country, they're not so bereft of human compassion that their reaction is to bust out the Mein Kampf and go full fasci. You know, I put a montage at the beginning of my last video to show the suffering of, you know, migrants, refugees, and I used images to contrast the desperation of these people's voyage with the improvement in their quality of life. And most importantly, the part of the narrative that's left out is that these people contribute. By and large, these people come to the West to contribute. They come here with dreams of how wonderful this system, this society is. What's funny is that most of the economic migrants and asylum seekers, you know, whatever you want to call them, they come here dreaming of a better life in the West. They are escaping from anti-Western oppressive forces. And then you have people like this shooter, people like the alt-right community online, who, you know, Braving Ruin, who used to go by Edgy Sphinx, issued a tweet about this shooter, and it was endorsed by Ian Miles Chong, another mouthpiece for the alt-right. This is their reaction to you know, people coming to the West with dreams of integration and prosperity. This is people who this is their reaction to people who come to the country. You know, they'd rather empower a fucking Western-born parasite than empower and accept a person from the third world just based on their skin color. This hump, who went on this mass shooting was a fucking an attic-dwelling loser. A failed politician, a fucking failure. And they want to side against this guy who goes out in his pathetic state of failure and decides that he's going to shoot at random civilians because they're all the same. Sort of the sort of most malignant part of this rhetorical hysteria around migrants is the idea that any migrant will do. Just point a gun in their direction and shoot women, children. Not that there's any, there's no migrant that's justified to shoot. But the idea that these mass shooters go out with, just like the shooter in Norway, Anders Breivik, is this idea that Muslims, black, African, sub-Saharan Africans as they call it, are a monolith. And you can kill any one of them and you'll be doing what you're doing is morally virtuous, because the narrative of all this is race realism, which is that the other side is born bad. They are incapable of assimilating, not because of cultural backwardness, but because their genetic code is anti-white.